What about self-care for teachers? You mentioned that one of the things we tend to do is think, we can control everything and do more. And that we have teachers who are burning themselves out on 20 hours of Zoom calls every day, especially in the music world, where I'm going to meet with the brass, then the woodwind, then the percussion, then the flutes, and it just goes on, and the tenors and the altos and the baritones. Let's get the violas in on a sectional. I have some time at 2 o'clock. And so their own well-being and family life is taking a massive hit too. How would you advise those educators?
Well, it's easier said than done, but boundaries have to be established. Part of it is every day I would encourage them to do a scan, to just sit in silence for even 5 minutes if they'd allow themselves to do it and scan their body and scan their energy level. And so when we're feeling fatigued, that's a sign. When we're breathing way up here, that's a sign. There's all kinds of signs, and that's personal. Okay, my signs may be different than your signs. One of my signs, I'm doing some transitioning myself. I'm finding myself waking up in the middle of the night, and then when I do wake up in the morning, I'm not feeling quite as rested. So I know my anxiety is upticked a bit. And so I need to take more, meditation time or quiet time when I'm doing that. So I think that's really important, is to observe the signs in yourself, to know thyself, to know the signs, and to know that there is a connection to my stress level, and that I need to adjust, to set some boundaries. It's not about continually pushing the envelope, because in that I am gonna burn out and I'm gonna crash. And when I do that, my immune system is going to be compromised, so I'm more likely to get sick. And even in this case of, if I'm not practicing proper social distancing, I may be subjecting myself to COVID-19. It's the potential is there with my immune system lowered. So the stress management and self-care is a way to bolster our immune system, which is so important. And if I'm running myself ragged by zooming myself ragged, right, and pushing all these in there, is there a way to expedite this where I can get different groups together, simultaneously, and rather than 3 or 4 Zooms, can I make that one Zoom? And we can work together on some pieces and get creative that way, as opposed to stressing myself with the amount of time that I'm putting in. I'm more efficient with my time, so I can
Yes,
spend more time for myself.
right. To reflect and recover, and the
Yeah,
athletes know this. Recovery is everything, and if you don't take the time to
yeah,
recover,
that's right.
we are talking to adults on this particular segment, so. There are many music educators that, since they can't get to sleep, they go, well, I'll just have a drink before I go to sleep. And we resort to self medicating in unhealthy
Yeah,
ways that
there's
can,
maladaptive ways,
yeah,
that those are definitely faulty, and will add to the stress and complicate matters, seriously complicate matters. I would discourage that. I would rather have adults talking to others. And it doesn't necessarily need to be a counselor, but everybody should have a circle of support, a circle of friends, a circle of support that they could call or Zoom or whatever, just to touch base. I just want to check in with you, today, and to have key people in their lives that will listen to them, not judge them, listen to them without judgment, without condition, just listen. I've got a couple of arrangements with some people where we do this co-listening thing, where we set a time frame. Say we've got, I don't know, 30 minutes. I listen to you for 15, and you listen to me for 15. And we actually set a timer. And when the 15 minutes is up, it's up. Okay. And then we reciprocate. It's incredible. I mean, just that there's an intention of listening and being present and in the moment with someone is very, very powerful. And I encourage people to exercise that opportunity that avails them at any time of day, that they can garner that kind of support, which they're very capable of doing, right? One other piece, Fran, I wanted to mention is that I see teachers being very accommodating right now. You know, one of the upsides for this is that students, rather than having to be at school at 8, are able to sleep in a lot longer than they've been used to, right? This has been an incredible coup for them. And I see teachers accommodating that by going later, you know, some of them even into the evening, you know, with their students. And I'm not saying don't do that, but make sure that they're taking care of themselves, because that's not usual. They're a bit more structured in their daily schedules, and that's not happening right now. So we're all over the map. You know, people are emailing and texting and Zooming, you know, all hours of the night. So we need to watch that.
Well, and that's the thing. Like I've noticed in my own pattern of behavior, typically I'll be running through an airport 2 or 3 times a week. I have not done that for a couple of months, and so I find
Is that very
myself.
good?
Well, I find myself saying I have to run every morning myself just to stay in pace and stay in shape. And then in the evening, I tend to just go on a slow walk because I can get outside and breathe. Because I am literally sitting in front of a computer more than I've ever done before, like I'm sure lots of other people are. And so that exercise or that shift in behavior is something that just for me, that's been a big thing. And I'm sure for music educators, regardless, band, choir, orchestra, you know, you're used to being conducting and physically involved, and now you're not. So maybe there's that escape that they might take in terms of putting on a great recording of a piece of music they've always wanted to conduct, closing their eyes and just conducting away. No one's watching,
Yeah,
but just be in
nice.
that moment. You know, it's a therapy for them.
Absolutely.